interview part. Okay.
Great. All right. So hi, everyone. It's a little after 10. I'm not going to put my video on because of how grainy things have been with so many people using the internet right now. And we want to see Heather, not me, to this week. So thanks to everyone who's on. By popular demand is Heather Butts to talk a lot about college and career readiness and what you could be doing as a student or as a parent to help get yourself ready for what college or your next step may look like, especially while you have some time at home to do some essay writing or resume prep or college application prep. Just a reminder, this is recorded, so you can certainly chime in via audio if you have questions for Heather. She loves it. Or you can use the chat function on the right-hand side where everyone can see any questions you would like to post, and Heather will answer them in real time. Once this is over, we will post the discussion and presentation on the IRM at Home webpage so that you can review, share, as well as find Heather's contact information if you want to do that. So we'll try to keep it wrapped up between 10 and 11, and we hope you guys enjoy learning more about what you can be doing to prepare for college. Heather, take it away.
Okay, great. So can everybody hear me? Everybody can hear me, hopefully. All right, excellent. So I'm just gonna again do a very brief introduction of myself, and then we're gonna just get right into the process. And I have actually a couple of PowerPoints. I'm gonna go through them intermittently with trying to engage you guys in this time together. And so as I plug along, feel free to get involved, ask questions, and so forth. So just a brief intro about me. My name is Heather Butts. I am a public health law professor. So obviously, what's going on now in the world with COVID-19 is a particular interest to me because that's what I study for a living. And I did my undergraduate work at Princeton University. I did my law degree at St. John's University School of Law. I did my Master of Public Health degree at Harvard University. And I got my master's in education at Teachers College, focusing on adolescent psychology. I teach now at Long Island University Post, and I also teach at, I have an appointment at Columbia University and St. John's University School of Law. For purposes of the college readiness, I run a nonprofit. I co-founded it. I don't have as much time to run it as I used to, but it's called Health for Youth, and we do a lot of work with young people, helping them transition to college, also help them in terms of being successful in college, and then essentially help them working with getting the careers and the professions that they want. All right, so last week I gave everybody an overview of this process, and hopefully if you were on the call it was helpful. And one of the things I charged everybody with was essentially to think through what they wanted in a college and what they were interested in terms of colleges. Now, I'd like to try something if I can, and this would involve trying to get some audience participation if possible. In the chat, is anybody willing to volunteer to try an exercise with me? If so, just put in the chat that you are willing to volunteer. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds. I don't know if anybody's going to volunteer, but it would be wonderful if you did. Yes. Going once, going twice. All right. Think about this for a second. What I want you to do is something that we talked about last week, which has to do with the college process of picking a college. And I want to take one person and basically work with them as everybody else sees it to essentially work with you through picking a college, okay? So think about it if anybody's interested in volunteering. If you are, just put your name in the chat, and we'll figure out how to unmute you and all that good stuff, okay? In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of the presentations that I have regarding various topics. And I want you to just think through how you would deal with some of these things and how you would work on some of them. And I will kind of walk you through the process. All right, so the first one I want to walk through is the resume. How many of you have a resume? You can put in the chat, yes, I have a resume. No, I don't have a resume. I don't know what a resume is. Do any of you actually have a resume? Yeah. Oh, Mariah, you're back. Hi, Mariah. Mariah, you didn't volunteer. You should think about it. You're good. Okay. Yes, you have a resume. Okay. Jasmine has one. Okay. But some of you are saying you don't have one. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. So the first topic we're going to talk about today is the resume. Okay. And if I can share my screen, I will. Now, you know what? I'll leave that to the end. I'm going to use this PowerPoint, and then I will send you all four of these PowerPoints. So the first one is the resume, okay? So first of all, what is a resume? How many of you actually know what a resume is? Do you know how you would define it? Do you know what it is? Do you know why you have one? Anybody want to take a guess as to what a resume is? Some of you have one. Do you know why? Have you ever used your resume? How many of you have actually used your resume? Okay, Jasmine says, a resume, it allows others to learn about important things about you. That's very good, Jasmine. That's very accurate. It allows others to learn about important things about you. Okay, anybody else want to take a guess at what a resume is? Anybody else? Maybe who has one or somebody who doesn't have one? Do you think a resume, okay, Linda says your accomplishments and things you did. Yes, excellent. Okay, you guys have basically nailed it. So a resume is a summary of your educational history, your job history, and overall qualifications. It also contains information about your education, your professional experience, awards, volunteer work, and skills. So for example, I just told you what schools I went to and what my jobs are, but something that would be a lot easier for me to do would be to just show you my resume. I wouldn't have to tell you all that. I would just say, here's my resume. It tells you my job experience, where I've gone to school, what I've done, and what my accomplishments are. Exactly. So that is the purpose of a resume. Resume guidelines. How long are most of your resumes? So how long are your resumes? 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 10 pages? How long are your resumes? 1 to 2 pages. Okay. Okay. 1 page. All right. So it's probably advisable to have a resume that's 1 page, especially at this stage in your life, because basically people are going to not really look at much more than 1 page. And most people aren't going to look at a resume for that long. Usually you're going to get legitimately like a few seconds of somebody looking at a resume, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. So to the extent that you can have a resume that's precise, that's pithy, that tells the story and it does it on a page, that's the way you want to go. All right. So one page, one type page, 12-point font, high quality paper, 8.5 by 11 would be ideal. Don't do any odd sizes. 4 by 6, 8.5 by 14. None of that. Just regular old 8.5 by 11. You want your resume to stand out based on your qualifications, not because the page size is strange looking. Okay. Now, when you're applying for jobs or internships, for example, this would be where you're going to probably use your resume most recently. So we'll get to when you're going to use it for colleges, and you will do that. But before the college process, you're going to use your resume probably for some sort of an internship or some sort of a summer job. Okay? Now, resumes should have a look. And that look, in addition to the physical look that I just described, also involves verbs you use, bullet points, key phrases. And I'm happy to, in addition to giving you this PowerPoint, once we're done, I'm happy to give you examples of resumes, okay? A resume format should be a 1-inch margins, readable font, 12-point would be ideal, high quality paper, and clear. It should be clear, it should be concise, it should be easy to read. Things to avoid putting on your resume: your age, your height. Believe me, I've seen it. A photo, don't do that. So if you, have a really cute cat, don't put a photo of your cat either. Don't put a photo of you. The phrase references available upon request. Any job or any internship or any college that you're applying to, they're going to know that you're going to have references. So you don't really need that. It's kind of superfluous, to be honest with you. And then please, please, please avoid grammatical errors and spelling mistakes. If you got to read it over 10 times, if you got to have somebody else read it over another 10 times, please avoid those kind of errors. They will stand out glaringly, okay? Things to make sure you do put on your resume. You want to put on education, work experience, skills. And by skills, I mean real skills. You're fluent in Mandarin, or you're extremely proficient in Excel. And by that, I don't mean, Word, Microsoft Word, because you can turn on a computer. That's a skill that we all have, okay? If you've got some really cool skill at it, great. But just being able to do that, well, that makes you part of humanity. And then contact information. Your cell phone number, your current address, and a current professional email. So this goes to this. How many of you have oh, yes, Dr. Shooter, or that you have some unique lab skills? Exactly. That would be a great skill to put on your resume. Lab skills, absolutely. And I guarantee you're going to be unique. All right, contact information, your cell phone. Do all of you have some sort of a number on your cell phone? Some sort of a number on your cell phone, a message on your cell phone. Does everybody have some sort of a message? If you do, it should be professional. Do you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes young people don't know what I'm talking about. When I call your cell phone, does it just go to like the mechanical lady saying your number, or can I leave you a message? I should be able to leave you a message, okay? If I can't, hook that up. Your current address, that should be the address that you primarily get mail at. So like if you, let's say, live between two parents, or you have a guardian or something like that, where are you most of the time, and where does your mail go most of the time? Where are you going to actually pick it up, okay? And then a current professional email, not Skippy Lou 27777374754. I don't know what it is also with people having 14 numbers after their main email. I can't remember that, and I'm bet you can't either. So a current professional email, and by professional, I would actually create like a Gmail or Gmail is really what people use these days, I guess. Some of you have a high school email, that's fine, but you really want to create an email that will can travel with you over the years. Because in a couple of years, or for some of you in a couple of months, you will graduate from high school and you don't want to be completely tied to that email, okay? All right. On the resume, you need to make sure that the contact information you have is valid. So as you're going along, just make sure that it's valid information, okay? Education. The education on your resume should have your start and end date, the name of your school or schools if you've gone to more than one school, list of educational levels attained, and your GPA, okay? And your any work internship experience you have to describe that employment, the dates of employment, it should be accurate. Don't guesstimate it. I kind of worked there sometime in June or July of some year. It must be accurate, and you should use action verbs when describing. Oh, okay. Jasmine has a question. Should you put the weighted GPA or the unweighted? So you can list it out. You can actually put both if you want. My weighted GPA is blah blah blah. My unweighted GPA is blah blah blah. And obviously, the more impressive because of the more things you're doing, the better. Okay. So you're perfectly welcome to put both of them on there. Skills. We talked about this a little bit before. List skills relevant to the position you are applying for. And this can be, if you're doing it for college, obviously skills that will help you in college. That's what you want to list. And if you're doing it for some sort of like a summer job or internship, skills that will help you do that summer internship or job. Okay? Remember, the resume just gets you in the door. A strong interview, as we'll talk about in a minute, is what solidifies the college application or internship. And you need to know what's on your resume. I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed people and I say to them something like, wow, that's really interesting that you, had a summer job at blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I did? Yeah, you did. It's on your resume. Oh, I forgot all about that. That was years ago. Okay, but it's there. So make sure that you resume and you know what's on it. And you're not surprised when somebody asks you a question about what's on it. And then always update your resume. Life is a journey and the journey happens fast. So make sure that you're always updating your resume and constantly checking it for spelling errors and grammatical errors. All right, final resume tips. Keep your resume to one page. Use your cell phone number and a professional voicemail message and use a professional email address. All right, that is the resume overview. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions about the resume? Okay. All right. So the second thing we're going to go over is I would say the college essay along with the common application. Now, are there any seniors on this call? Anybody a senior? Any seniors? Juniors? Any juniors? There's got to be juniors. Okay. All right, great. Have any of you started thinking about essays, writing them? Have any of you actually written any essays? Have you drafted any essays so far? I haven't. I've thought about ideas. Yes. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about this. If you're a junior, this is why, COVID-19 is pretty awful, but one thing that it's giving people is time. So I would highly recommend that if you're a junior, and even if you're a sophomore, you start the process of practicing writing essays and then actually writing essays. Okay? So, whoopsie. I would definitely say that you should do that. Okay? Now, how does one do that? Okay, so the first thing you got to do, this goes back to what we talked about last week, which is the college list. Now, how many of you have a college list, either because I talked about it last week or you have one? How many of you know more or less what colleges you're going to apply to? Okay, Jasmine, you do. Mariah, you do. Okay, Jasmine, Mariah, if you don't, okay, for all the people that said I do, can you put in the chat what your number one school is? Like, what's your number one school? UPENN. I love it. Okay. All right. How many of you have gone on to the UPenn website, the admission site, and just gone to see what the essays look like for last year or this year? Have you actually taken a look at the essays? Okay, beautiful. Great job, Mariah. Okay, excellent. So everybody should do this. You should take the time right now to look at your top, I would say all your schools, but certainly your top 5 schools. You should go on you should go on the website and take a look at the essays. Most essays are not going to change very much from year to year. And so this will give you some insight as to what the essays are going to be like and what essays you will most likely have to deal with. So I highly recommend everybody do that. Now, some schools have short answer essays, some have direct questions, some have general essays, some have personal statements. The question for you is, what does the school want from you? You need to make sure you give that to them. So, for example, I know some students who, they they get an essay and it says in 25 words or less, please answer the following question. And they're like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer this in 125 words. Well, no, nobody asked you to do that. And so if you do that, there's a couple of things that can go wrong. Well, one, you're not following the directions. So what they asked you to do, you're not doing, which is problematic. In addition to that, if you do that and you give them more than what they want, well, now they got to read more. And so it takes away from getting to reading other people's stuff. But the big thing about that is that you're not following directions. That's the big thing. And schools like to know that if you're going to come to their college, you will follow directions. So make sure in a college essay that you give the school what they're asking for. No more, no less. Now, some of you have mentioned that you started writing essays. How did you come about coming up with a topic for your essays? What inspired you to know what you wanted to write about? Can anybody answer that? What you wanted to write about, how you knew? Ah, I looked at the Common App prompt. Well, you are very savvy, Jasmine. That's very good. Okay, but not so much what you wanted to write about, and maybe I should ask it another way, say it another way. How did you know when you looked at an essay prompt what you wanted to write about specifically? Like if an essay is, and this is one, tell us about a time when you failed at something. Okay, that's the prompt. But then how did you decide what failure to write about? All right, Leah, I wrote down the most memorable moments in my life in a list. Okay. All right. Did you consult with anybody on this list? Did you consult with anybody? Did you talk with anybody? Did you go over it with anybody? My English teacher. Okay. So I would suggest that all of you um, do this, but you consult with people a little nearer and dearer to you, namely parents, guardians, grandparents. These are the people that know you the best. And so when we reach out to them and we get information from them regarding essays, for example, and essay prompts, it's really helpful. It's really helpful. So I would highly recommend that you do that. Talk with parents, sisters, brothers, uncles, and just ask them, what are some memorable things about me that you think of when you think of me? I would also recommend that you carry around with you a little booklet, like a notepad. I carry one with me all the time. And you can just take this around with you as live your life and plug along. It's a great way to be able, as life happens and things come up, to just note and write down cool things that you can do an essay on. So I would highly recommend that as well, okay? And what are some good topics? Where can you get them from? Well, in addition to what I just said, your resume is a great place to get a topic. So you first got to have a resume. But then once you have it, you can look at the resume and say, oh, that's right. I've been doing karate for 5 years. Maybe I could write an essay about that. Or, oh, yeah, I've been in the school band for 2 years. That's been really enjoyable. That could be something I did. Or, oh, I was on the debate club, but then I dropped it because I wasn't doing so great. But that could still be an interesting essay to talk about, things that I've learned and progress that I've made. So think about it that way, okay? What makes you unique or different? Good way to look at it. Do you have a favorite book or movie that has had a particular importance in your life? That's a great topic, depending on what your prompt is. Other topic areas could be a trying time in your life that you've overcome. That's always really good. Well, it's really good if you do it really well. It's not really good if you don't do it really well. But if you do it well, it's good. A very substantial extracurricular activity that you have or are participating in. That's what I mentioned before. Oh, I'm in the band. Oh, I'm in this club. Someone who's had a great deal of meaning for you and has been a great influence on your life. And discuss why you want to go to this particular school. Oftentimes schools will have a prompt like that. Why do you want to go to UPENN? Why do you want to go to Yale? Why do you want to go to Syracuse? Tell us all about it. And that's your moment to shine. That's your moment to be able to, all the reasons why, UPenn is your number one choice. Now you can tell them all about it in this wonderful essay. Okay? So you're stuck. Let's say you're stuck. You tried all this and you're stuck. What can you do? Well, like I mentioned, talk with friends, talk with teachers, talk with family members, trusted mentors. Keep thinking. As long as you started early enough in the process, you can come up with a topic. That's why starting now when you have a little bit more time is ideal because you can actually come up with a topic. It's perfect. Essay writing tips continued. Start early. Write your first draft and continue to write drafts. You'll need several drafts before you finalize the essay. I guarantee you that. Have someone else read it to make sure it conveys what you want it to convey. So maybe the same person actually suggested an essay topic to you. If you pick theirs, then have them read it. You suggested that I write about, being on the debate team. You know what I'm like on that. So what do you think about this essay? Okay. Make sure you don't have any typos. You don't want typos. And read it once more before considering a final. So as many times as you're going to read this, read it once again, make sure it's final, then send it off. So some takeaways about essay writing. Make your essay consistent with the rest of your application. And the example I always like to give is like, if you have a 1600 on the SATs and a 4.0 average, you're not struggling in school. So don't write an essay about that. And I've seen that. Students who are like, oh, yes, I have a 1590 on the SATs and I have a 4.3, weighted average, but school is so difficult and challenging for me. I just don't know how I make it through the day. Yeah, okay, try again. That's not a thing for you, all right? So make it consistent, make it. People, they're going to see your resume. They're going to talk with teachers. They're going to get recommendation letters from you. So you want it to be consistent. You want it to be real, authentic. More takeaways. You can use your essay to explain certain parts of your application. Just don't repeat what's already in your application. All right, so let's say that you got a C in math your junior year, right? Okay, they're going to notice that. I mean, they're really going to notice that, especially if the rest of your grades are great. Or let's make it even better. Let's say you got a C average your junior spring, okay? But then every other semester is an A. They're going to notice that. But if that's the spring that you moved from Delaware to Miami, well, that's helpful. That's really helpful information. Oh, and Dr. Shooter's making a great point. You guys have already done this. You're in this program for a very important reason, because the essays that you wrote for these programs made you stand out. So you need to do more of that. And another good way to do this is to look at those essays. So take a look at those essays, see what you wrote there, and then, try to be creative, okay? Do more of what you did there. You can be the best diverse self you can be, okay? But again, don't make stuff up. Just be authentic. Everybody thinks that they have to have some sort of like trick or gimmick. The best trick or gimmick you have is being yourself and being authentic. That's going to go a long way. You don't have to make stuff up or be like cute or like, oh, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to really make me stand out. Just be authentic. Be your authentic self, and that will be more than enough. I promise you. I promise you it will. All right, so final takeaways. The essay topic says a lot about who you are and what you care about. So choose wisely. I mean that. Really think about why you're picking this topic and what it's going to convey to people. Is that the message you want to send? Do you want to send that message to them? If so, and if it's part of your overall narrative about who you are, then great. Go forth and right away. Pitfalls to avoid. Don't try for tricks or something for shock value. The essay should tell your readers something that the rest of the application does not. So don't just regurgitate, if you're a great student, just talking about how, oh, I'm a great student and I'm a really good student. Did I mention I'm a great student and I'm a great student? Yeah, we got that. We know. We don't have to hear that in an essay. So something that's unique, that's different. Don't go over the word limit. Please, I'm begging you. It's not going to help you. It's just going to look like you don't follow directions. And don't make up stories. Honesty really is the best policy. It really is. Do not just make stuff up. It will come back to bite you. And one way that it will, to be honest with you, are your letters of recommendation. So, what's going to happen is you're going to make up some random story, and then your letter of recommendation is going to contradict that. So let's say you say something like, "Oh, I was sick my entire junior year, and that's why my grades were lower." And then your teacher writes a letter of recommendation. They're just like, "Oh yeah, and Susie's junior year, she just slacked off because she's lazy, but now she got her act together, so she's doing better." So don't make stuff up because there are ways to verify, and it's not good karma. It's not good to do that. Just be honest, okay? Your best honest you is better than a dishonest fake you. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do, and then I'm going to leave time for questions, is the interview. How many of you have had an interview of any kind? Any kind of interview. How many of you have had one? Okay. Okay. Okay, great. All right. How comfortable are you with interviews? How many of you are super comfortable with interviews? Like, yep, I nail them every time. I got it. I'm the best. I'm the best interviewee there ever was. How many of you feel that way? How many of you feel sort of like, I'm okay? Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take 7 minutes to talk interviews. Um, oh, Mariah, you said you're fairly comfortable. You're fairly comfortable with them. Um, but get nervous, so I wouldn't sound the best. Right, right, right. Well, you know what though, Mariah? Getting nervous during an interview is normal. If you didn't get nervous, I'd have to sort of question some things. Because normally when you're interviewing, you got a lot on the line. There's something at stake. Usually there's a lot at stake. So you should be nervous. You should be anxious. Okay? When you get too nervous and too anxious, that's when it's not good. But a little healthy, like, I'm anxious. Yeah, exactly. Depending on what you're interviewing for can make a huge difference. Interviewing for your number one college is a very different thing than, interviewing for some summer job you don't even really want. And weirdly enough, we often do better in the interviews that we don't really think we want or we're not sure or whatever than the interviews that we really want. I was listening to an actor once, and he was doing an interview, and he said he had a job interview, like for a part, and he was really excited because he was going to go watch a soccer game afterwards, and he really wanted to see the soccer game. So he was interviewing, but on his mind was like, I can't wait to see the soccer game. So he was so excited about the soccer game that not only wasn't he really nervous about the interview, but he kind of had fun with it because he was like, great, after this, I'm going to have fun watching the soccer game. It'll be great. He ended up getting the part mainly for that reason, just because he, was really relaxed. He wasn't super worried about it. Had something else to look forward to. So, if you can get into a relaxed mindset, it can really help with interviews. It really can. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right. So specifically for colleges, the college interview is part of the college application process for many colleges and involves either an in-person meeting or actually at the rate we're probably going, it's probably going to be like Zoom interviews, but maybe not, maybe not. But hopefully, luckily, you have an in-person interview. But interviews can be conducted on Skype, on Zoom, WebEx, any manner of places. Why interview at schools? So I get this from students sometimes. Sometimes students will say to me, can I avoid the interview? I say to them, no, why would you want to do that? You want to do the interview. You don't want to avoid it. Interviews are great. They can really make you shine as a candidate. It can really make you stand out. And you definitely do not want to avoid interviews. You want to do them. You definitely want to do them. Interviews can be helpful for you and the school. It shows that you're interested in the school, and it's helpful because you can share information about yourself that goes beyond the application. So again, this goes to are you explaining everything that you can in the application? The answer is probably no. And so an interview is a time to be able to explain more about yourself and for the school to get a feel for, is this somebody that we should accept into the school? Do we want this person? Are they going to be a good fit for us? These are all questions that a school is going to be interested in. And they're going to want to have some answers to. So it's great. Interviews are fabulous. They're awesome. They're the very best. You can also ask lots of questions. So another good thing about an interview is it gives you the opportunity to be on the offensive and ask some questions that you might otherwise not be able to ask. That's fabulous. It's great to be able to ask questions. So take advantage of it. What will happen during your college interview? So, usually they're pretty straightforward. It'll be similar to other interviews you've had. You'll introduce yourself to the interviewer. The interviewer is going to ask you a series of questions. They really want to know who you are. They want to know, are you going to be a good fit for the school? You should also have questions ready for the interviewer. So you should have 5 to 7 questions ready yourself that you want to ask. Okay? Just remember that while it's great to get ready in advance, you shouldn't memorize answers to common interview questions or compose a speech. The interview should be a conversation. So, if somebody says, tell me about you, so like, my name is Heather, just let it be a conversation. And then don't be so ready to answer, to just sort of like answer questions you prepared for that you're not actually listening. So you want to listen. You want to really listen. You want to hear what the person is saying and then respond. Okay? Now you just want to respond accordingly. How to get ready for an interview. So first, you want to find out if the schools you're applying to actually offer interviews. Most of the schools you guys have already mentioned do. You want to do lots of research on the school, on programs, so you can answer questions professionally, and you want to do that also because you want to make sure you want to actually go to this school. Do you actually want to go to this school? I mean, hopefully you do. So doing research will help make that clear to you. And then you want to do lots of practice. Practice with family, practice with friends, practice with counselors, practice, practice, practice. Okay? You want to make an interview appointment with the college. If you don't hear from the college, it's not a bad idea if a long time has gone by to just find out what's going on with the interview. Sometimes things just fall through the cracks. And again, I often talk to students and they'll say, oh, good, they forgot about me. I don't have to do an interview. No, again, you want to do an interview. So make sure that you get that interview and then mark it on your calendar. Believe me, I had more experience with the people who just forgot interviews, and it's sad. It's a sad thing if you forget an interview for college because it's not going to be a good look for you. You want to make notes about why you want to attend that college. Make notes about your academic background, your high school experiences, your life outside the classroom, activities, community service, hobbies. And remember, you're going to bring your resume and a folder to the interview. Okay? So you're going to bring all that with you. How can you research the college? Visiting, brochures, course catalogs. You're going to want to dress nicely, appropriate clothing, professional clothing. And like I said, you're going to create a folder. Now, here's my secret advice to you. I often tell students to create a business card. You can do this yourself at home, or you can get it done. You can go to, like Vista Print, like one of these companies that actually does this. Or you just do it on your own. But I highly recommend that you get yourself a business card, and you're going to get those folders that have the business card little inserts in them, and you're going to put your business card in there. So you're going to have a business card, you're going to have a resume, you're going to have other pertinent information. You're going to do it that way. Get familiar with common interview questions, and I have them available, and I'm happy to share them. Prepare a question about the school to ask the interviewer. Get directions of where the interview is. Don't get lost. Make sure you're actually a little bit early, okay? So you're not running in there all scattered and disheveled and anxious. Get directions so you know where you're going, okay? Do's of the interview. Dress nicely. Arrive early. Have a solid handshake. Practice your handshake with people. Ask them what it's like. That's not a good handshake. Okay, I'll work on it. Be polite. Answer questions honestly. Send a thank you note to your interviewer after the interview. Send a thank you note. You can email them. You can do other things. But you should get yourself some stationery. You can get it at a Hallmark. You can get it online. And write them a note. So get their business card. You're going to have your business card. Give them your business card. And then send a note, okay? Remember, it's supposed to be a conversation. So don't try to memorize a script. Ask questions. Be yourself. And most of all, be prepared, okay? So after the interview, you should make notes for yourself. Okay, this is what happened. This is how it went. This is what I thought. Make notes. File away any business cards or contact information the interviewer and other admission staff offer. And then again, send the thank you notes. Handwritten, okay? So I'm going to stop right there. And I am happy to take some questions. What questions? You guys must have questions. What questions do you have? You can put them in the chat. Questions, questions, questions. What questions do you have about either the interview process or the common application? I didn't talk about that as much. I just talked about essays. But the essays or any of it. What questions do you guys have? No questions? If our resume is longer than a page, should we cut? Um, okay, so if your resume is longer than a page, what I would first do would be to look at your margins and look at your font size and look at your spacing. That would be the very first thing I would look at. Are your margins weird? Is your font big? Is your spacing really wide? So I'd first just look at aesthetic things like that, okay? Once I knocked all that out, then I would look at the actual content, right? And I would look at what's on there. So what do you have on there? How far back are you going? Did you go back to grammar school? What are you actually talking about, okay? And then I would look at, am I using action verbs? Am I too verbose? Is it too wordy? I would look at that as well. And see what my verbiage looks like, what my wording looks like. If after all that you're still a little bit over a page, I would really then start to sort of critically look at what you have in that resume. And is it pertinent and germane to what you're applying for, in this case, college? At that point, you should be able to whittle it down to one page. And again, the reason why you want it to be one page is for a very simple reason, which is that's about what people are going to look at. So, you don't want to have a 4-page resume because people aren't going to look at it. People are going to take the same amount of time to look at a resume, whether or not it's 1 page or 4 pages. So, people take like 10 seconds to look at resumes, 15 seconds. It's very limited. So if you're making them shuffle through 4 pages as opposed to 1 page, that's just much less time that they're going to have to look at the good stuff. So that's really why you want to make sure that it's, nice, succinct, 1 page, one and done. So that's what I would do. I would just take a look at it, look at your spacing, look at your margins first, then look at what you've got in there, and then look at, is it really pertinent to what you're applying for? Is it really germane? Okay. And after all that, you should be able to get it on one page. I mean, I finally went over to a page and a half resume. I mean, I've been out of school for a long time, and it was tough for me mentally to do it because I didn't want to, but I knew that I just had to because it was just getting, yeah, I had to. But yeah, that's what I would say to you. Okay, Linda asked, should you put details next to stuff you did for your resume, or is there a limit to it? Example, club. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so a lot of times high school students do things, and adults don't really understand what it is. Um, so like Key Club or honor societies or Arista. It's a thing in New York. I don't know if you guys have that too. But these things that students describe it, or they don't even describe it. They just say, I'm in this club. Okay. What is that? What does it do? So yeah, you're gonna want to have details, and the details are gonna be action words. So chess club, vice president in charge of events and coordinating projects with the student council. You want action verbs, so you're coordinating, organizing, implementing, things like that. And that's where your detail is going to go. So you definitely want to have the detail there for sure. Absolutely. And it should be bulleted. So you want to have bullet points. It should be very clear what you're doing. So by the time somebody reads that detail in the resume, they know. They're like, oh, I know what this person's doing. I get it. I understand. It makes sense to me. It should make sense to them. It should make sense to them. Any other questions so before I end, I would just leave you with this. For interviews as well as for resumes, one question you're always going to get is the question, tell me about yourself. I would practice that over and over again with essentially a elevator pitch almost for it. 60 seconds, you should be able to do tell me about yourself very easily, and I would actually write it down, and then I would practice it. And then with the resume, that would be probably one of the first things I would work on during this break for COVID-19, get myself a really nice, sharp resume. And if anybody wants me to look at it, I'm happy to do that. Oh, we have one more question. Are SAT scores a main factor that determines whether one gets accepted into a school? Yeah, yes, they are. SAT scores, it waxes and wanes in terms of how much importance people think should be put on them, but a lot of importance is put on them. Mainly because, it's kind of a across the board way to assess students. And it may not necessarily be fair, but it makes it doable, do an assessment of students. So yes, to the extent that SAT scores are a huge factor, they are. But again, depending on where you are in this journey, you probably still have time to work on that. So, you can take tests, you can take, you can take practice tests, you can take courses, you can take free courses. Khan Academy has courses. So you don't have to spend oodles and oodles of money to take an SAT prep course, but I would definitely do something where you're practicing. In some form or fashion, you want to practice the SATs, okay? All right, so I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Shuda. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to make all of these PowerPoints available to you. I'll make them available to you, or I'll make them available to Dr. Shuda later today, and then she can make them available to you. And then if once you see them, you have questions, my contact information is on them, and I'm happy to be in touch with anybody. So I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Shuda.
Thanks so much, Heather. You bring so much insight into what we should be thinking about as far as colleges are going, and I hope this was extremely helpful to the PARS and PASH students who logged on. Share these opportunities with your friends, everyone. Starting next week, we're going to do Meet a Scientist, where you can start to grow your network and learn about careers in science, which I think is going to be really helpful for you, especially thinking about how we can continue our summer mentorship program virtually. This is a time for you get to meet the people that you could be interacting with. And so we really appreciate all of your time, Heather, all your expertise and sharing all your great. Many of these students that you're talking to are really interested in paving the best road possible for themselves in terms of their next step, and you're giving them the final touches to get them to where they need to be, and I really appreciate that.
I love it, and I appreciate you inviting me. You know how much I love doing this, and so I'm happy to be a part of this. And however I can help any of you going forward, I just gave you my email. Feel free to be in touch with me.
All right. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Please stay
Bye.
in touch with myself if you have any questions about PARS and PASH. We're reviewing the essays, and we're really trying to work out a way that we can continue our internship program virtually and hopefully back in the labs by late summer if we all do what we need to do to keep the rules in check. And maybe, Heather, you could come back and talk a little bit about COVID-19 a little later
Yes.
on, and how you have thought about this from a health policy perspective and what we should be doing as a society moving forward too.
100%. You let me know when. I will be there. I would love it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Stay in touch. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.